Okay, my name's Carmine, and we got a Carmine Red 991.2 GT3, not washed, dirty. Pretty much will drive it every day when I can, not pampered. And we're going to take you on a road test, a longer one, so you can see what's going on. This is the 4-liter. This one's got nice appointed trim. No chrono, makes for a nice flat dash. We've got red stitching, Carmine red, matching panels. We got the regular bucket seats, nice and comfy for the street. The original owner had ordered a cup car, so he didn't have to track this as much. So nice Alcantara, stitching's a little messy, but nice Alcantara knob and wheel with the center. We got no red tack. That would probably make it a little too much. Nice inside stitching as well. Alcantara, of course, headliner. So I'm gonna put this camera. Let's attach the camera so everyone can have a nice view of what's going on. I think that's gonna work, and you'll be able to hear me. We'll start it up. This one has a K40 jammer and radar system that the original owner put in it. And we're gonna leave the air conditioning on, and you got the little blue light. We're gonna let the engine warm up. Not a great idea to just sit here. It's best to start it, wait, 60 seconds and drive off. I usually keep it below 3,500 RPM until not only the blue light's out, but the oil temperature comes up to temp as well. And the auto lift system, when you're pulling out of a driveway, you don't have to shut the button off. It'll turn off on its own as you start moving. So if you don't want to have to worry about that, it's not going to go down the highway or go down the road with the system lifted. It will shut itself off. So it's a nice feature. The 992s are GPS based, so it's a page out of Tesla's book. It'll remember where it was and deal with it. As you can see, front end's being lowered on the instrument panel. So the dampening is quite good. It's definitely, you can definitely drive it daily. It just shows you how soft the other 911s are when you drive this, because this one is definitely stiffer, but stiffer doesn't necessarily mean better. But this car, the steering response is spot on. It's typical. The dampeners are tight, but the spring rate's chosen well and matched. So for the street and average track driving, even heavy track driving, it's really good. If you're gonna get into anything serious, and make it a track car, number one, I would choose a PDK for the track, and number two, I would choose a different suspension for the track. Perhaps an Öhlins TTX or something more advanced than what Porsche currently has on it. But for about 99.9% of people that drive on track, this is going to be more than enough. The only thing you'd have to do to go to the track, you don't have to, but the only thing I would do is change the brake fluid and put some track pads on it, because the brake pads are definitely not track worthy. They'll withstand some track use, but not the pedal that you want if you're an advanced driver. But so the manual gearbox introduces it makes it feel vintage again. It almost makes it feel Metzger engine again, almost more so than a 997 in my opinion. My father owned a 912, course 4-cylinder, but then he owned an 86 911, and as a kid the memories of that sound were always in it. The way the engine kind of revs and the way the engine comes down to an idle and the noises that it makes. This car does all that. It really does. You know, back in the 80s, say you had the 911 Carrera, you had the 911 Turbo, right? And now we have, you know, the 911 Carrera, the 911 Carrera S, the 911 Carrera C4S, 911 Carrera GTS, 911 Carrera GT2, the GT3, you know, it just there's so many variants. The touring, so it's like this car is really like, this is what the 911 should be. This feels like a 911. It's just right, and the manual gearbox, I feel, reconnects you to the. And I'm not one of these, the driving dynamics, right? I'm not one of those. I love a PDK because I'm a track driver, and you know, this way you don't miss a shift, and your shifts are faster, and yada yada yada. But on the street, I want something sporty. I want a sports car type feel, a Porsche type feel, and this one does it all. Like, the PDK absorbs so much vibration and so much noise, which is great for finesse. But this is not a Lexus. So the manual transmission, you know, without going into detail, the way it mounts and the way it's designed, it's not absorbing a lot of the noise that you're going to hear in the PDK cars, and especially the GT PDK cars, and definitely the GT3 RS. You know, technically the GT3 RS should be louder inside, and you know, it's all spherical bearings, but a manual transmission GT3, it really just hits the note. So the blue lights off, the oil temperatures are up, the water temp's up. This is the 4-liter, as you know, 500 horsepower. It makes that 500. I'm not going to get exact here. It makes the 500 horsepower a little over 8,000 RPMs. I think it's 8,250. It's pointless to go past 8,250 unless you want to hear the engine, right? The torque is plentiful, so there is just gobs of torque from 3,500 all the way up. The torque, if you look at the torque map or the torque curve, you'll notice the torque curve is very solid from the 3,000 to 4,000 range all the way up, and the peak power, the peak horsepower starts to climb right around that 8,000 mark. So, like right now, you can see I'm in 5th gear, and I mean the torque is just, you know, the torque is there. I mean, this is 5th gear, so the torque is there. And we're gonna play with this car. This is not going to be one of these easy street drives. We're going to play with this car safely. But we're going to, you know, we'll go to downshift. This is 4th gear. And we got a full tank of fuel. So 24 gallons almost, 23.7. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll go down to 3rd here. And we'll, when we crest this hill. And the rev match, its feature is nice. If you don't want to mess around with heel toe, it works pretty well. I wouldn't rely on it maybe on a racetrack, but it works well. So we'll go down. So we're at 6,100, and we'll bring it all the way up so you can hear it. It's 100 decibels at the rearview mirror. Very stable, very planted car on braking. You don't get that BMW jiggle on braking. For those BMW guys out there, I'm a BMW guy myself, and you don't get the BMW jiggle on braking. So your high speed straightaways are going to be very, very good. So it pulls nicely. So there's your braking. I mean, it's very stable, and you got, you know, these tires are still cold, but even so, it's very stable. Not cold, warm. You know, here's a 25 mile per hour ramp, so you can see now the car from the factory. It's going to have some understeer, and you know, it kind of should, but you know, it's still got, you know, it's pretty balanced if you let off the throttle. You know, remember the old 911s? They were, you know, they called them widowmakers, especially 911 Turbo. and they were dangerous. The power would come on, and then you lift off, and the back end would come out, and that's kind of true with any car. That's not something you want to practice in any car. But from a torque standpoint, you don't have to be all the way up. So like this is second gear, and there's just plenty of power. So you're on the street and you're short shifting. There's just plenty of torque. There's 339 foot-pounds, and like I said, it really holds that curve. There's plenty of power. You don't have to rev this car to get power. And quite honestly, when you are high speed running the car at the track, I would recommend shifting at 8,250 unless you're in crisis mode. You're in a panic mode, and there's somebody behind you, and you feel that you need to rev it to 9,000, or you just want to hear the symphony. It's up to you. So this is sixth gear at 80 miles an hour. We're at 31.50. Very comfortable. That corner was taken with the soft dampers. The car actually feels better with the dampers in the soft mode. And I'll take this corner. I'll take this corner with the dampers. I did a third shift from 6 there, and we'll go around here and we'll push. You can see how the car will stay back here. We don't want to get too close. So it understeers. They understeer from the factory. They all do. If you drive them hard. If you don't drive them hard, they're going to feel like an Indy car to you. But if you're any kind of a driver, you're going to immediately feel the understeer. So you dial that out, right? It's fully adjustable. You could add stuff to it. I'm personally not going to add anything to it, but I'll make sure that the camber is maxed out and the toe is set to my liking, and we'll get some of that understeer out. But you can control the understeer. You can control it with your foot. So you can just slow the car down a little bit, and exit acceleration is just fantastic. You can see where I can just shift at 8250, and it's just excellent pull. Very stable car. We'll stay on the throttle through this corner here. And you gotta love the stable, and this stableness I say is you're not getting this from the, it's not all coming from this rear wing or the front spoiler or whatever. That rear wing makes over 300 pounds of downforce at like almost 200 miles per hour. So if anybody is going to say they feel that downforce on the highway, you're out of your mind, because that's not real. That's not what's happening. So that rear wing, yes, it's going to make things more stable at 120, but the fact of the matter is, it's not creating 3,000 pounds of downforce, or it would rip the rear deck lid off. The newer cars make more downforce. The wing is attached to a more structural part of the car, so they're able to do that. On the turbo cars, you have an active front spoiler, at least on the older ones, and the new 992 GT3 RS. That's just crazy aero. It's a whole different deal. But this car really they really wrapped the 991 up well with this car. This car feels like a 911 should be. It really does. It makes all the noises, and it makes all the feel that the 1986 911 did, except it actually handles good and has really good steering response, and it's comfortable to drive and has air conditioning that works. So it gives you this old vintage feel, but in a race car feeling package. So and it really does feel. These are track ready race cars. There's no buttons here on the steering wheel. I think that's a great touch. This GT steering wheel. There shouldn't be buttons on a steering wheel. I think it makes it more sporty. Of course, you're driving Formula One or some other type of deal, and they have to have radio buttons and suspension buttons and everything else. But it's very simple. I'm personally a fan of the no chrono just because everything has chrono, sport chrono. Of course, you have some lap timer issues if you want the lap timer without the chronometer, but that's okay. It's a real simple flat look. So the check boxes on this car were done well. Obviously, done by someone who knew what was going on. They checked all the right stuff off. So you can see how nice and seamless that is. That downshift is so nice. This car, let's see, we got 16,000 miles on this car. Let me go around this roundabout here. You can see, I can show you around this roundabout. So watch this roundabout. You can see watch, see that? I can turn the wheel. There you go, look at that. No one's gonna show you that on a GT3, nobody. There you go, see that? You could dial all that out too, so. And it's good, it's just, that's right there. Those are the front tires sliding. So it's all controllable. You just need to know how to control it. So again, a great wheel alignment, a track alignment. We do them at the shop all the time. And, you know, you dial the car in. The car's not perfect just because there's a GT3 badge on it. But I got to tell you, it's pretty damn near what you want. I mean, there you go. There's the torque right there, just all the way up. Never gives up. Shift, you know, just nice planted power. Then we'll slow down. Nice. The sound is absolutely intoxicating. It makes you want to rev it to 9, or, you know, it's an intoxicating sound. It's so addicting. It's just so addicting. You want to, you know, I took a break this morning just to hop in here and drive it. I was excited to get in it, and it's just so addicting. The radio, this car doesn't have the Bose option, but it's like, who cares? You really want to listen to the radio when you have an engine like this? And this is not the kind of car you listen to the radio in. This is the kind of car that you drive fast and have fun in and let some steam out. They just did a great job at bringing that. I don't know if you can hear it through the speaker, that idle down. I don't know how many of you watching have old 911 experience, but that means something. It really does. I had a 1980 911 SC, and that 3-liter, again, same type of sound as a 3.2 Motronic. The 3-liter had that nice sound, you know. I'm a 944 turbo fan as well, but it's no 911, right? There you go. That's fifth gear. You know, plenty of torque. You don't have to rev this engine. There's plenty of torque. The 500 horsepower does not happen until way up high. So we got a car that weighs approximately 3,100 pounds, you know, dry. 500 horsepower, 339 foot-pounds at around 6,100. Steering wheel, it's got this really nice thin steering wheel on it, which is really nice. Personally, I'm getting sick of the thick, you know, that thick, I call it the thick BMW M steering wheel. I'm just really sick of it. So this thin Alcantara, it just, you know, really nice stuff here. So, I mean, cruise control, you know, the menu's nice. I have all the stuff turned off except for the voltage because we have analog gauges, so what's the point of having digital gauges? I don't see any point. I like that they still kept the, you know, this, anyone that doesn't know, this black line here, this black line antenna, I don't know if you can see it, that's something from the 80s. You know, this was in my dad's 86 Carrera. He had a Guards Red 86 Carrera. So it's just interesting. So I knew that when I did get another 911, it was going to be a manual for sure. It was not going to be a PDK, as much as I love a PDK for the racetrack, or maybe when I'm older and don't want to shift. But I knew that it would be manual. I knew that it would be red. I actually wanted guards red, but I thought I wanted guards red until I saw Carmine's red, or Carmine red, and then I'm a fan of the BMW Imola red, so this Carmine red is something else, and it happens to be my name, so, and the name of my company, so I thought that was pretty cool. The seat belts are in guards red, but the trim is also in Carmine's red. I mentioned that earlier, which is kind of cool. And this one's got the upgraded headlights. It's got the black LED headlights, and it doesn't have the fire extinguisher in the passenger floorboard. I kind of wish it had it, just because they're expensive and they're hard to find. Other than that, I mean, you know, if it's gonna burn, let it burn to the ground. Who cares, right? So it looks cool otherwise. I think, you know, another red accent in here probably wouldn't have done any justice. But just really cool. Air conditioning works well, and look, I left it. I turned the shocks to stiff around that corner back there, and I can't even tell. You know, like it's not stiff. It's good. You know, it's compliant. I guess that's the word, right? That's what everybody uses, compliant. It rides better. It rides better than a Carrera, or, you know, a lower level model. Because a lot of times these manufacturers, what they're doing is they're cranking the dampeners, the electric dampeners. They're cranking the valve, the compression valving up, and they're trying to get this IndyCar feel without going with too much of an aggressive alignment. And they're cranking the compression up so it feels like it's like, oh wow, this car's so stiff on the street. You know, it's like, oh wow, it feels so great, right? You get this like really like great feeling when you go side to side, and then the minute you hit the racetrack, the car's leaned over on its side because the spring rates are not right. They're too low, perhaps, or they're just not. You know, the valving doesn't match the spring rate, and it's over my head. But this is, you know, this car is arguably, like, this car is softer than a non-GT3. How about that? This car is softer than a non-GT3 on normal driving. It's softer, and on rough roads, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel the heavier spring rates, but they're matched to the dampers so well that the ride is great, and that's what you get. That's what you're paying for, right? And again, you know, you upgrade your suspension to something that's real, like an Öhlins or a Penske, or you know, something of high-end quality. You know, you open yourself up to, oh wow, this car rides really soft, but it really doesn't. You get on the racetrack and it's flat as can be, and you know, so soft means grip, right? Soft means grip, and stiff, hard is less grip. So you got to find, yeah, some people are probably like, whoa, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's true. So you got to find somewhere in between, because when it's really stiff, the suspension, it feels really controllable, but the fact is you're going to have less grip. This is a fact. This is not something I'm making up. So you got to find something in the middle, because if it's too soft, you can't control the car. And that's a whole other video, right? And I've learned this through suspension engineer friends and research over the years, 20-something years. And so you got to find a happy median of how much grip do you want to sacrifice to have. How much grip do you want to sacrifice, you know, to have a car that feels dialed in? So you just got to find that medium. We're not talking, you know, we're not talking cup cars here. Cup cars is a whole nother story. When they say the GT3 and the GT3 RS is derived from the cup car, everyone needs to know that that's literally what that means. They're derived from the cup car. They are not a cup car. I have coached people in the seat with cup cars. A cup car is a completely different car in every way possible. It handles different, it accelerates different, it brakes way different, it makes so many more fun noises. A cup car is not the same thing. You know, when I say derived, it's lightly derived from the cup car. Okay. With that said, the Porsche GT3 probably, you know, this is a blanket statement, but it's a true statement. It hurts, right? The GT3, GT2, like the Porsche in general, probably the only showroom car, you know, the only car off the showroom floor that is really prepared for track duty. I mean, you know, the only other car I've had that is really prepared for track duty, and I'm talking 100%, not even brake pads, is, you're not gonna even believe what I'm about to say, is a Ford Shelby GT350R. That car, it was almost like Ford made that car to prove a point, but that car was so good that it's annoying. So there'll never be another one. But the Porsche, pretty much for the most part, across the board, 911, you could take them right from the showroom floor right to the racetrack, and they feel great, and they don't fatigue like other brands do. Other brands fatigue, they do. They just fatigue. But hopefully this video is more, gives you more information and what you were looking for. I tend to rant on about pointless things sometimes, but hopefully you get something out of it. And again, I pulled in this parking lot. I didn't even raise the suspension. I mean, raising the suspension, there's almost no need to raise the suspension unless you're going up a driveway or something. So I'm not really sure what that's all about. Let me take this camera down, and I can let's see, we can dial in on some more things here, perhaps, to people that want to see some other things. And I've got it in a holder. No professional recording here, so I'm gonna put this on the floor so we don't damage the Alcantara. It's got these cool, those are actually Carmine Red GTS mats. They're not GT3 mats, but they're still cool. I got them from Suncoast. They have a bunch of cool stuff, and there's a Lloyd mat to match. And so, yeah, well, you know, look around the cabin. You know, fit and finish, of course, great. Those 3 pedals down there, wonderful things here. The heel and toe, you know, if you're a heel and toe guy or gal, I mean, Porsche used to not make this very friendly back in the day where you had to tie a block of wood to the pedal. I don't know if there's probably some people in the PCA that remember that, but this, you know, they call it heel and toe. It's really not heel and toe. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like, depending on how you do it, right? That's really your heel, but I don't do it that way. I kind of adjust this way, so it's like pinky toe, pinky heel, whatever. I'm not a pro driver, so my friend Johan would probably explain that better than I would. So, you know, outside view, you know, it's great. I can zoom out here a little bit, but yeah, it's such a beautiful car. It's just a joy to drive. It really is. And you got, of course, GT3. You got the key, so you don't have the fake. You don't have that fake. I'm not gonna call it crap, but you still have a key here in the GT3, right? So there's the real key. You actually have to stick it in and turn it, and people know that, obviously, especially if you're watching this video, it's on the left, because when you were racing, that was the faster way to get going or something. At least that's the story. So it's got that loud, and this engine, so just so you can hear me, I'll close the door again. So this engine, see if you can hear the noise. They fixed the problem on the other engine. There was oil issues, and let me turn the camera around. Can I turn the camera around while I'm recording? I don't even know. So let me see if I can twist the camera around even. No, it's kind of locked. So I'll just flip it. So the older engines had cam followers or lifters, and lifters need oil so they can pump up and they can self-adjust the valve, right? So the old engines had adjustable valves, okay? And the adjustable valves, you would you would take a wrench and you would loosen the jam nut, and you would take a flathead screwdriver, and you could turn, and with a feeler gauge, you have a special feeler gauge that fit in your index finger, you can, you'd go in and you would adjust the valve clearance with the set screw. And what they did on this engine is they took a page out of the racing, Porsche Motorsports racing, and BMW actually did this on the street on their engines. They used valve shims to adjust the valve clearance. So there's no interval on this engine. They say actually if it needs a valve clearance adjustment, they'll do it for free for the life of the car, I think. Don't quote me on that. On the old engines from the 60s, 70s, 80s, there was like a 15,000 mile or sooner valve clearance check. So these are shims. These are solid shims. So you're gonna get a lot of engine noise. I mean, it sounds like a box of rocks back there. And I think that's what's so cool about this engine. And that's how they get this high RPM without worrying about oil starvation. The other engine, they fixed the problem and got the oil where it needs to be, but it's not fit. It's a Band-Aid in my opinion. But the fix was going back to solid valve shims. So you got, everything's solid. It's actually this, here's a picture of the, hang on. Here's a picture of the, let's see. There's a little keychain thing. You've probably seen this online, but this is your rocker, right? So this is where the cam lobe touches. So before you had this squishy, valve keeper, cam follower, not valve keeper, I'm sorry, cam follower or lifter, it had oil in it. It's hydraulic. And if it didn't have enough oil, it would not pump up and it would let go, and then you'd have, a crash. Everything would it would blow. And it's like, there you go, $60,000 nightmare, it's gone. So now you have solid, and with the solid comes vibrations and noises and all this cool stuff from the old cars that while it doesn't sound good actually. It sounds bad. Not the exhaust. The exhaust sounds good, and the inside sounds great. But the actual engine idling back there, it sounds like a boxer. Sounds like a boxer engine, but even worse. It sounds like the one from the old days. But it's cool. And of course, opening the rear lid, you see nothing. Just like any 991 since 2011, 12. There's nothing to see back there. You got to go underneath to see anything at all, really. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We recommend, we personally use Motul oil 300V on this car, 540. I know Porsche recommends Mobil 1. That's fine. If you're a Mobil 1 fan, that's great. It's not the best oil out there. That's arguable, of course. Everyone's got their flavor, but Motul is what we use, upon request. But Mobil 1 and Mobil 1, Pennzoil, it's all the same. It's all the same garbage. And it's not garbage. It's good. Pennzoil and Mobil 1 are both good. But compared to Motul and say Joe Gibbs and some of the other higher end oil, I'm personally not a Redline fan that much, sorta. I don't endorse anyone, but Motul seemed to quiet things down on a lot of 911s, and it seemed to do good on some of the race cars that we had. And they do 300V 540 competition oil. They have too, which has more minerals in it and things in it that the engine needs. So if you have any questions, just ask us. If we bored you with the video, well, don't watch it. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to put some track video up when we have it. We're taking a Lexus to the track in a couple of weeks, and then we'll take this GT3 to the track on Sport Cup 2 tires, hopefully May or June, and we'll probably have race pads on it. And so yeah, this GT3 is 100% stock. There's no shark work, exhaust, or anything done. It's got like nothing. We didn't mess with the seats. Like the only thing stock's the only thing that stock's the keychain or the trunk mat, I guess, Lloyd trunk mat. But I hope you have a good day and enjoyed it, and have a great day. See you.